And good morning, basketball fans. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Welcome to another episode of the Upstate Hoops podcast on FingerLakes1.tv. I'm Jim Sinacropi. Flying solo this week, but not alone here in studio. We have Palmac head coach Dan Harris, along with senior captains Dominic Sutberry and Davon McClain, standing by. And we'll talk about their season so far and the tough competition at the top of the Finger Lakes East. We'll recap all the action in a shortened holiday week. And we'll reveal our updated Girls Super 6 and FL1 Sports Power Rankings straight ahead on the Upstate Hoops podcast. All right. Hope everybody had a great holiday season. Some high school basketball games this week, although a shortened week ahead, coming up with some tournaments. And, everything's looking great heading into 2016. So I'd like to welcome into the studio. I have three Palmac Red Raiders. I have Coach Dan Harris. Coach, how you doing today?
Good, Jim. How are you?
Fantastic. Thanks for making the drive down on a Sunday morning.
Our pleasure.
Right,
happy to be here.
2 days after Christmas.
Yeah, happy to be here. Day off, so happy to be here.
And also we have Davon McClain and Dominic Sutberry. Thanks, fellas, for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
You guys are both senior captains.
Mm-hmm.
And how's the senior campaign going so far?
It's going well.
Yeah.
They tied for first. Just knocked off the
Yeah.
number one ranked team in the Upstate Hoops Power Rankings about a week ago.
Yeah.
Reminders. So we'll talk all about that stuff. Coach, first just kind of recap where the season is so far for you guys. You've played a tough schedule.
Very tough, yeah.
Out of league, and you held your own right in the league. You're right tied for first with the other Reminders in Newark.
Newark, yeah. I mean, we set it up that way last year, over the spring into the summer, tried to set up our schedule to test ourselves for sectionals, and then obviously the league doesn't do us any favors this year. Our league's real tough, back to almost full strength as Finger Lakes East usually is. So each night's the test, and then any of our non-leagues, Livonia, Wilson, coming up with college prep, and then we got School of the Arts still to go against. So all of our non-league tests are set up to toughen us for hopefully what will be a deep sectional run.
Yeah, and the Finger Lakes East is incredible this year. It's not so much the teams at the top are very good, but the thing that makes it tough to me is the teams at the bottom. You guys beat Waterloo this week by 6 points. They're in last place and winless, but they could beat anybody any night.
Absolutely. They are probably the best 1-6 team overall that any school will see. I mean, they've got a little bit of everything. They've got good guard play, and they're quick. Deming in the middle's tough. He can pretty much do anything he wants. 15-foot, knocked a three down against us, and then go to the rim. So they got a little bit of everything. And like you said, the middle of the pack isn't far from being the top of the pack.
Yeah, and be talking about Mid-Lakes. They started out 4-0, and then Geneva's struggled a little bit, but at any given night they can beat anybody. They're very athletic and like to go up and down full court. So the Finger Lakes East is really something this year, I think. And how do you guys feel about that? You guys get ready to play every night against every team, knowing that then any league game could be a loss.
Yeah. I feel like we underestimated Newark that night that we went out there and played. We thought, they're kind of near the bottom. We don't have to worry about them, but then they showed up. And
now they're right back where they always are.
Yep.
Yeah, Newark's a great example. Over the summer, we're talking about the upcoming season. We're talking about Newark's going to be down because they lost Tyler Collins and Shamar Logans and Akron Rodriguez, and and then next thing you know, Taylor Clements, 6'7" center. He's a year older and a lot better player, and all the players who were complimentary players last year now are stepping up in their roles. So the Finger Lakes East is really a grind, and you guys aren't even quite halfway through there yet.
Right.
So how long have you guys been playing together, just your senior group and the guys on this year's team? You play together since you were kids, or?
Well, we only played as freshmen together, right?
Freshman and 8th grade year because I transferred in from a city school.
Okay, where'd you transfer from?
Monroe High School.
All righty. And How about the rest of the team? Is there a youth program in Palmac that you guys were playing in?
Yeah, but we were kind of split up because we had Macedon Rec and PCC, so all the Palmyra kids would play at PCC, and I was a Macedon kid, so I'd play with all the Macedon kids.
Sure.
But then we'd meet up in middle school, and then we played from 7th grade on through senior year.
Is most of the team from Palmyra, or is it an even mix?
I'd say it's
more Palmyra.
I think it's probably 2/3, 1/3. I think this is actually the first year in a while we've had more Macedon kids. I know last year we had I had two Macedon kids on the team, and this year, like I say, I think there's 4 or 5 Macedon kids, and then the 6 or 7 Palmyra kids, whatever the difference to 12 is of what we've got. But pretty good mix this year, and the talent. What I love about having the two towns, it's unfortunate that they don't get together until middle school.
Yeah.
But this year, our team is unlike any year. I don't have a single player that's the same, and so we're able to do some things and have some kids that are split in terms of talents and abilities, and the mix has been perfect to this point.
Yeah. I mean, I look at this Palmyra team, Palmac team, along with the other teams especially at the top of the East that we talked about, Newark and Minders. And, you guys got great shooters, real deep at the guard position. Damian Wright and Hawkins do a great job. Vandevelde and Knorr, great shooters. And, if there's one spot where I think you guys might struggle, it's inside. Dominic's all alone in there, and he's got to stay out of foul trouble, or you guys are always automatically have to go small.
Right.
And the same can be said in Newark. They got a ton of great guards and just one big guy. Yeah. That's the one thing I look at Minders is they have 2 big guys starting, 2 other guys that can come off the bench with some size, and they also have the deep guards. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I'd say even when we go small, we get a tiny bit more athletic, but we do obviously lose the inside presence with rebounding. Dom's our leading rebounder so far this year, so that does hurt us. What we hope to do if we do have to go small is spread those big guys out. We hope to bring the Cafolas and the Bachmans and the Clements and those guys out away from the basket, where then our athleticism can shine through a little bit, and we'll be able to take them off the dribble or pull up because we get them backpedaling and they can't stop and jump fast enough. But you're right. We that's one spot we're not as deep as I'd like to be. But we seem to have been able to make do so far.
And a lot of fun to watch. Like I mentioned, the great shooters. You guys can get up and down. I've seen you guys playing some really close games over there. The one in Waterloo you lost in overtime last year was really something. Damian Wright made about a 25-footer at the buzzer. Yeah. So, a real fun team to watch. I think it was last year in Newark. Holden Knorr made 7 threes.
Yeah. We went to overtime with them and lost in overtime. Again, Collins went out with an ankle, but we were better then than we were the first time we played them. So,
let's see here. Season goals. What do you guys? That's the players first. When the season starts, what are your goals? What do you want to? Is there a certain team you want to be? Do you want to win the league? Do you want to get to the big house in Rochester? What is it that you guys are kind of put as a goal for the team?
You can go first.
Okay. A league title would be nice, but it's not the primary goal. I think all of our primary goals to get to the Blue Cross Arena to play for a sectional championship.
Yeah, it's and it's tough. You guys are in tough B1. Yeah. It's not easy. It seems like once you get down into the C's, the path to the Blue Cross is a little bit easier. And I think you're in there with Newark, right? And
you're either a Finger Lakes East school or a city school, but we've got obviously La Hornell and Livonia, the 2 Livingston counties. So
Penn Yan's in there.
Yeah, Mid Lakes.
Yep. Again, those are 2 of the East teams that that aren't at the top of the standings, but are
close.
Really difficult teams to play. Davon, what do you have? Any? You agree? Just get to the big house.
Yeah. I mean, and this is probably a lot of kids' things. Is whenever we start off the season, I'm like, let's go to Wayne. I want Wayne to be our first game. Like it's always like that rivalry.
You consider them your biggest rival, Wayne?
Yes.
I mean, Newark also.
Yeah.
There's also been some stuff between Newark, but Wayne has always been like my personal.
Why is it Wayne? Like, what is it about playing them?
I think it's like between all the sports. Like
Right.
they have to have like monitors at most of our sporting events when
Yeah.
like Wayne and us are there, just to make sure like we're not yelling at each other.
No, I was never really aware of that
Yeah.
rivalry. I mean, I know you guys have both been historically strong programs in the East, but I didn't know there was that extra. I always thought that Newark was maybe your main rival.
Yeah, I think it goes based on with Newark. It's been that long time since Coach Cervolo and Coach Tatro were coaching together, and then they came apart, and Tatro went to Pelmac, and Cervolo took over Newark, and that rivalry has been sustained. I think now, kind of renewed, is that border bowl, we call it, between Wayne and Pelmac. It's been established in football, and it's probably spilled over into basketball. And I'm formerly from. I live in Ontario, and I used to coach with Bill Thompson. I was his JV coach for 8 or 9 years, so I think that kind of adds a little bit of fuel to the fire, so to speak. But Bill and I are friends. I don't think there's anything between the two of us, but I think when the two teams get together, it's there.
I got a chance to see Wayne play Minders last week, and really young, talented team. They're going to be very good in another year or two.
Yeah.
It was Minders handled the game. It was in Seneca Falls. And, I was really impressed. They started 2 or 3 freshmen. They had a sophomore, Braden
Zanelovich. Yeah.
He's
Good
gonna be
athlete.
very good.
Yeah, good athlete.
So it's just another example of no night off in the Finger Lakes East. So in the East, guys, what were some of the tougher players that you guys match up with individually where you're like, Dom, I'm sure that Taylor Clements is one of those guys. Like one of those guys that you're like, I got this guy tonight. That you consider a challenge or some of the better players.
I think Emerson from
Penn
Penn.
Yan. Yeah,
he's always a tough person to go against. And recently this year, Santel from
Jose Santel,
from Newark, he put up some good numbers against us when we played him.
He's a very under control. Smooth scorer, good shooter, and one of those guys who he did have some big scoring nights last year, but this year he's more consistently relying on him. Guys like Santel and Brian Sharp and Nate Beard, those guys are now like the core of the team, where last year they were just pretty much role players behind Collins and Logan. So how about you, Dom? Other than Clements, I know that you could say Clements, that's the obvious one. Any other players that you look forward to battling with inside?
Ben Deming. He's really skilled in almost everything he does, and being 6'5" helps him a lot. When we played him, he could go right to the rim. He jumps well. He even hit down a few jump shots and a three-pointer.
Yeah, he is a really, really well-rounded player in his senior season here, which is almost surprising that Waterloo hasn't won yet because he is so good. So, yeah, it's and you guys both seniors, right?
Yes.
Yep. What about plans after school? Have anything in mind yet, or?
I just got accepted to Keuka College.
Oh, nice! Congratulations.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Gonna try to play any sports there? Or?
Yeah, I talked to the basketball coach on and off for a while.
Beautiful. How about you, Dom? Anything?
I was looking at FLCC and MCC.
Beautiful. Yeah, FLCC. A lot of great players and students from Wayne Finger Lakes end up at FLCC. They're sponsoring our season this year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they've been a big season sponsor of our live webcast, so we're thankful to have them on board. They certainly allow us to do more games. So what about any other sports you guys play? Or is it basketball?
Yeah, I stopped playing football because I was breaking too many bones. Like I broke my wrist, so I was out like the first beginning of the season, and I had to like work it back in so I could start dribbling right again. So I was like, okay, I can't play football anymore because.
Yep. Oh, you Dom? Any other sports besides basketball?
No other sports.
Basketball's the one. Hey, that's nothing wrong with that. But you guys follow any other levels of basketball, college or NBA?
I'm a big college basketball fan.
Who you like?
University of Tennessee.
How come Tennessee? That's the first I've ever heard up here.
My parents, before we moved to New York, we lived in Tennessee, and my dad, when he was young, lived in Tennessee and was a real big fan, so it just followed throughout the family.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Have that connection. Yeah, I just want people to say Syracuse when I ask that question.
But they are orange.
Yeah, that's
Tennessee's
right.
at least orange. Got the right color scheme, just the wrong team.
Yeah, that's true. Well, no, that's pretty cool. How about you, Devon?
It's Syracuse.
You like
so,
Syracuse?
yeah.
Nice. Love it. Any favorite players in the NBA, college guys that you
I don't really follow the NBA, really.
I personally like Kevin Love.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, no doubt. What about any like hobbies or anything else like that you guys might want to tell us about? Favorite subjects, anything like that?
Hobbies, subjects. Dang.
I personally really into music.
Right. Like you play an instrument or
No,
just collecting?
I cannot play an instrument.
Just like collecting, I don't even know what people do nowadays. I used to have a CD collection, and that was pretty cutting edge at the time. When I was in high school, I was the first kid to have a CD player in my school. And so how do you, how do you, is it all digital now?
Yeah, all
like
digital.
Spotify? You on Spotify?
Yes.
Yeah. Times change.
Yeah.
No doubt. I have this giant crate of CDs that sits in my basement that, it's worthless now, basically. I should have got rid of them 15 years ago. Area Records or something in Geneva. Well, we're going to talk about all the action this week. We'll give you our Players of the Week updated power rankings and Girls Super 6 coming up here. The Upstate Hoops podcast and all of our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball is brought to you thanks to the support of Generations Bank with locations in Auburn, Farmington, Jeep, Geneva, Phelps, Seneca Falls, Union Springs, and Waterloo. Check out their mobile banking app and visit them online at mygenbank.com. And by FLCC, thinking about life after high school, get your degree at Finger Lakes Community College. And by Dr. Rod Littlejohn, delivering over 30 years of smiles with style. So, fellas, let's start out here in Wayne County. Light week, so we should be able to move through this pretty quickly. The game of the year, maybe so far, on Wednesday night in Wolcott, East Rochester versus North Rose, and I'm going to just play the last few seconds of as this game closed out because it was such a crazy atmosphere. I was lucky enough to convince my wife to let me take the drive up 2 days before Christmas and watch this game, and it was. I heard some North Rose fans say that this was the biggest regular season game they've ever had, and it was standing room only. And I just, as the final buzzer went off, the place kind of exploded. So let me play that for you guys real quick. So look at that. They turned the scoreboard off already. I hate when they do that. The game ends and they're like, "All right, out of here."
Yeah.
But it was a 63-45 win, and the way this one kind of played out was ER shot the lights out second quarter. Chavez Gaines had 16 points, 3 straight threes to end the second quarter, give ER a 4-point lead. And then second half, it was all North Rose Wolcott behind. Garrett Hoyt had 17 points, 10 rebounds. Luke Gersner had 16 points and 7 boards. And Tyler Norris had 15, including a big 4-point play in the third quarter. And North Rose zoned them up, 2-3 zone most of the game, stayed out of foul trouble. North Rose not very deep. ER a little deeper, very quick. These guards, Gaines and Keith Butler had 12, and Casey Michelle had 11. They're super quick, quicker than North Rose. But North Rose played a great zone. They moved the ball on offense and made shots, got it into the post for Garrett Hoyt, and a huge win. They were both undefeated heading into the game. Now North Rose sole possession of Wayne County. And, Coach, you see either one of these teams at all? I mean, I know they're not on your schedule, but I don't know if you scrimmaged either one. Or...
Yeah, no, we didn't. I know North Rose. I saw them on your telecast the first game of the year when they beat Geneva pretty well. Similar score, I think, and knowing North Rose, Brian, again, coaching at Wayne when we were in Wayne County, they're the type of team that they don't beat themselves. You know, and again, now this year they have a lot of talent. They've got some size. They got a little bit of everything, and they're going to be a tough out for anyone when it comes sectional in that B2 class.
Yeah, right in there with Minders in B2. And then also in Wayne County this week, we have Red Creek defeated Marion 71-34 behind 22 points from Nick Klein. In a pretty big game opposite that North Rose game was Clyde Savannah versus Sodus. The Golden Eagles win 71-54 to get their record back, one game above 500. Jared Faniel, 16 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists as well. Derek Chance, 13 points, and Drew Carnevale, 10. And pretty big win for Clyde because Sodus a lot better than people were thinking, I think, heading into this year. I keep hearing that from a lot of coaches. And it's played out. They're at 4-4 so far, heading into the new year. And then also a final game played on Tuesday night in Wayne County this week had Gananda defeating Lions 57-47. Enrique Mosman had 24 points for the Blue Panthers. Justice Smith 17 for Lions and Jordan Amel 15. So let's pull up the standings real quick here for Wayne County, and there you have it. New number 1, top of the standings. North Rose Wolcott at 6-0, ER at 6-1. Clyde right behind, hanging in there, and of course Clyde will play both of those teams one more time, so they'll have a chance to crawl back into that title chase. And then you got a log jam in the middle with Sodus, Red Creek, Gananda, Williamson a little bit improved, and then maybe, I don't know if it's a surprise or a shock, when you got a team like Lions that goes to the state Final Four and you lose a few players off of that team, then you lose a few other players for other reasons. But I still, and Zach Youngs doesn't like it when I say it, but I still think this team can improve and get it together. They have the pieces: a freshman point guard who's their leading scorer, a senior big man in Jordan Amel, and I'm still thinking that they can get it together and make a nice run in the postseason. So coming up this week, it's another light week, but Tuesday night, Clyde Savannah traveling to Minders. That game will be live on FL1 Sports at 7:30. Dave Barnick and Matt Verkey will have the call for that one. And I always love those crossover games. And then there's a tournament in Gananda that starts on Monday that has Marion's involved in that one. Red Jacket tournament that involves Williamson. And then on Saturday, which would be January 2nd, East Rochester plays Boulevard Richburg on the road. And Sodus travels to Waterloo in another game that you can watch live on FL1 Sports. Another Wayne County Finger Lakes East crossover. So let's kick it over to the West, where big week for Naples. They had lost last week. We were talking about how they lost their first league game in 27 tries. They went up against undefeated Dundee, and they pull out a 1-point victory, 50-49. Andrew Fleischman, 21 points and 13 rebounds, and Andrew Clark, 16 points for Dundee. Both of those teams are now 7-1. And Bloomfield played Red Jacket. Big game for the Bombers. They're off to a great start this year. They beat Red Jacket 51-44. Wyatt Conklin with 18 and Hayden Ward with 17. Dan Brown had 12 for Red Jacket. Marcus Whitman beat HAC 71-50. Berlin Allen had 15 points and 7 assists, and Big Brad Stone had 14 points and 12 rebounds. And then the one of the greatest rivalries in all of Wayne Finger Lakes, South Seneca versus Romulus. At the Jack Guyan Arena, Romulus winless. Sodus was 2-5 heading into the game, and it was packed down there. Standing room only. South Seneca 52, Romulus 37. Lincoln, the Great Emancipator, Bachman Low 13 points. Cullen Morella 13 points. As South Seneca wins that one, and they'll have to go back to play Romulus one more time. So let me pull up these standings in the West. And there you have it. Dundee and Naples now tied after that Naples win, and Bloomfield right there. Bloomfield also scheduled tough out of league, so they're 5-3, but 5-1 in the league. Red Jacket much improved. Marcus Whitman, we expected them to be more in the mix at the top. At 4-3, they still will make another run through the league schedule and get a chance to get back up there. Honeoye improved, and then there's South Seneca, Romulus, and HAC. So also this week in the West, we've got Honeoye and Naples playing in a tournament in Prattsburg starting on Monday, and Red Jackets playing in their own tournament starting Tuesday, and then Dundee's down in a tournament in Watkins Glen next weekend. So now let's kick it over to the Finger Lakes East, where we can probably take a little more time since we have one of the coaches and two of the players that play in the East in studio here. So let's start with just running through basically this week the top three kept pace. Newark beat Mid Lakes. Jose Santella had 17 points, 8 for 8 free throws. Nate Beard had 16 for Mid Lakes. Bryce Burry, the sophomore point guard, had 18. Darren Carswell, 11, and Kenny DeVay, 11. Big win for Newark. Mid Lakes started out 4-0. Losers are their last three. And then we talked about the Palmac-Waterloo game, 67-61 win for Palmac. Hunter Vanderveld had 19 points and 10 rebounds. Davon McClain in here with studio with us had 15.6 rebounds. Brandon Hawkins had 10. Ben Deming, 24 for Waterloo. Dikembe Air, 16. Minders defeated Wayne 51-31. Devin Anderson came out with 4 3-pointers. Sophomore, son of Jerry Anderson, head coach of the girls team. Jake Jones had 9. Ben Cafola had 8 with 10 rebounds. Jake Mean pulled down 12 rebounds. And then for Wayne, Logan Blankenship had 13 points, and Billy Thompson, coach's son, right?
Yes.
11 points. And then finally, Penn Yan took on Geneva, and congrats to the Mustangs. They had a tough start to their league season, but they pick up a 3-point win over Geneva to improve their record to 4-3. Desmond Batten had 17. Sean Emerson had 13. And let me pull up the standings now as they sit on today, December 27th. And there you go. Logjam at the top. Minders, Palmac, Newark. You've each played each other once. The home team has won every one. So what's going to decide this league title is probably going to be who can go on the road and get a win.
Absolutely.
Either you guys at Minders, you beat Minders in your own gym. You lost to Newark in their gym. So, we'll see what happens next time around. And then it was Newark beating Minders in Newark. Every team's loss came on the road against one of the other top teams, which I thought was pretty interesting. And so we'll see what happens on the second half of the season here. And then all these teams in the middle, Penn Yan, Mid Lakes, Wayne. Oh, geez, right down. I have a tough time saying that Penn Yan, Mid Lakes, or Wayne are that much better than Waterloo or Geneva, even despite their record. So, maybe the league title will be decided by which team doesn't get upset by one of those teams, because it could easily happen any given night.
Absolutely.
How do you guys feel about it? Do you guys say, oh, geez, good, we got Waterloo tonight, going to be a little easier than Minders, or you're like, oh, man, we've got another good team tonight?
I think our league is one of the hardest leagues around. I think any night, any of the teams in the league, even the teams that are at the bottom, could upset any team.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you guys beat Minders. Tell me a little bit about that game. It's a big win at home.
We all came out to play that night. Even our players that came off the bench still played really solid, and we all really wanted to win that game.
Yeah, I can see that. So it's something you talked about all week at practice and getting amped up for?
That was after the Newark game, right?
Yes.
Because after the Newark game, we were we didn't come out to play that game. We were like, all right, people are doubting us now.
Yeah.
We got to come back, show them that we're still one of the top teams in the league.
The other people were talking about that Minders win, because you're right. You lose to Newark, now you got one of the team people feel are the best in the East coming into your gym. You lose that, and all of a sudden, you start to lose sight at the top of the league. So that was a huge win. And what did you do, Coach, to prepare for that Minders game and get these guys into it? You build it up as a big game, or you just build it up as another game?
Yeah, again, as I said earlier, that every night in the Finger Lakes is a huge game, and I think what you hit it right on the nose, Jim. That I think it's going to be not only who can hold serve against each other, but then who's not going to get upset, because Wayne. We beat Wayne by 3. We beat Waterloo by 6. Obviously, we haven't faced Penn yet. We're going to do that after the first year of Mid Lakes. We still got to play in our first go-around. And those teams are giving everyone a battle every night, and they're beating teams that they should beat, and they're playing with teams that many people probably feel that they shouldn't be playing with. They're good, they're talented, they're deep. So We don't build up any game more than the other, but we do know where we stand and where we rank, and we look at that and say, okay, this is one of those that we've got to make sure we take care of. And I think Davon, like he said, we knew after Newark, hard to believe that people would doubt us after losing to Newark because Newark's that good.
Yeah, right.
But I think on paper people would have said we were supposed to beat them this year at their place. But they played inspired, they played well, and we played flat. And I think that this second go around, finishing the first go around, second go around is going to be pretty important to show up every night with the intensity that you had the night before.
Yeah, it's funny because me and all the guys that announce the games for us are on our FL1 Sports team, I guess. So we talk all the time, and so I can remember we did the Palmyra-Newark game, and talking about it a couple days before. I think the general consensus was, Palmyra probably 4 or 5 point favorites will probably win that one on the road, and then talking to the guys from Newark that that was something they wanted to prove, that they weren't ready to finish in the middle of the pack. They still wanted to compete in the East. So it's interesting when we try to kind of, you can't call it handicapping. There's nobody betting on these games, obviously, but that's basically how we talk about it. Same thing with that North Rose ER game. What do you think? Oh, I think I got North Rose probably -4. Some people thought that ER would win, but it's fun to kind of guess what's happened and see how it actually plays out. Right. And then the same thing when Minders went to Palmac. At that point, like you said, after losing to Newark, a lot of people were like, well, Minders will probably come out of there with a win. And then, no, it didn't happen. And now all of a sudden, it's kind of on for the second half of the season. So speaking of the second half of the season, in the East this week, we've got Mid Lakes playing in Gananda on Monday, Gananda tournament. And then on Tuesday, we mentioned that Clyde Minders game on FL1 Sports. The Red Jacket tournament's got a lot of East teams, Geneva and Waterloo in there, along with Red Jacket and Williamson. Newark challenging themselves yet again, schedule-wise, heading up to the Rush Henrietta tournament. I think they got McQuaid on Tuesday. And then you got on Tuesday, the second game of that Gananda tournament that Mid Lakes will play. And then here's you guys. Wayne tournament, Greece Olympia and Palmac College Prep in Wayne, right? And you guys will play 2 games there?
Yeah, we'll
play
play
true
2
tournament
games.
format?
Yeah. Yep, true tournament format. And if depending on how things play out, if we were to face Wayne again, it would be considered a non-league game. Because our league schedule had us home and home, and obviously this is a tournament there. But College Prep, that's our first round. And last year, I think we lost to them by 16 or 18.
Is they're B2 or
no,
BB1?
They're A.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they're in A2. I think they're in with Wayne and Wilson and some of those schools, but they're in A2. And
it's tough to keep track of some of these
Holy
teams.
cow.
College Prep, University Prep, early college, middle college, all these colleges. Thought this was high school basketball.
I thought it was high school basketball.
Yeah, so does College Prep, they return anybody from last year?
Yeah, I don't. I haven't looked at their roster quite thoroughly yet, but yeah, I know they return. They lost 2 key players, but they return a couple guys. Their JV team, I believe our JV team beat them by 4 in the second round of that tournament last year. And then, like I said, we lost by 16, and they're going to return. They play hard. Coach Crandall does a real good job with them, so it'll be a good test for us. And again, it's one of those games that we knew going in when Bill Thompson over at Wayne and I talked, and he said, "Do you mind facing College Prep again?" And I said, "No, because that'll prepare us. We need to see teams like that to prepare for sectionals." So, yeah,
I guess there's 2 schools of thought. One, you need the sectional points because you want to get that home sectional game, but you need to put yourself in some of these difficult contests against the types of teams you might face later in sectionals. So correct. Do you try to balance that, or are you just like anybody the toughest teams that we can play? Like, how do you? I
try to balance it. Again, I firmly believe that you got to win to establish that winning mentality, but I definitely feel that the test in front of you, playing a different caliber of opponent. When we faced Wilson, the last thing I thought we'd see was a 2-3 zone the whole game. I thought for sure it'd be pressure man-to-man to your chest, and they played 2-3 the whole game over Victor, and they ended up beating us by 2. And then, like I say, with College Prep, and we got School of the Arts on the schedule, those city teams, you hope that you see a lot of pressure, you see physicality, you see a different type of athleticism than you'll see in the Finger Lakes East, and definitely a depth to that athleticism that we don't see in the Finger Lakes East. So, again, just to test ourselves and to see what we're up against.
Yeah, I agree. Especially you guys got a great squad, so why not put them up against some good.
I totally agree.
So, only other game in the East this week is that Sodus at Waterloo game on Saturday, 7:30 live on FL1 Sports. I think Brendan Harrington and Tani Robinson might have the call on that. Now, Tani, he's a guy from down your neck of the woods, right?
Palmyra works in our middle school, yeah.
Yeah, he does a great job, along with Brendan, calling these games. Let's move on a little bit here to the players of the week. Verk not here, but I got his pick. He picked Andrew Fleischman in Naples, 21 points, 13 rebounds in the big win over Dundee. Andrew Fleischman, Verk's player of the week. I got Jared Faneuil at Clyde, 16 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists. When you get 16 points and you almost get as many rebounds, you're a lock for my player of the week. And I like a big win against Sodus, and obviously a big win for Naples against Dundee, mainly in part to the performance of those two individuals. So congrats, Andrew and Gerard. And that brings us to the rankings, where we'll start out with the girls, where things got a little crazy for the girls this week. Just get it right up there on the screen. There's our updated girls Super 6. Wayne at number 1. They beat Minders 60-53 on Monday, and then they also won at Gates Chili 70-38 on Wednesday. Geneva stays at 2 despite a big loss. Bishop Kearney doubled them up 82-41 in Geneva this week. But Kearney's a tough team. Yeah. Geneva stays at 2. And coming from unranked to number 3, the South Seneca Lady Falcons, after beating rival Romulus 53-39, after Romulus has pretty much owned that rivalry for the past few years. And that was on Monday. And then they played Minders at the Jack Guinan Arena. They beat them by 10, 51-41. So their only loss for the Lady Falcons and Heather Mott this year came to Aquinas back on December 5th. They skyrocket up to number 3 in this week's bowl. Gananda stays at 4 despite a loss at home to Notre Dame, 47-28. That was their first loss of the year. And thing about that, it was a pretty handy 19-point victory for Notre Dame, a fellow C1 school for Gananda. So they're going to have to figure out what happened there and get ready in case they meet them again down the road. Minders drops to 5 with 2 losses, 1 at Wayne. You can't lose too much in the rankings when you lose at the number 1 team, 60-53. But then they head down to South Seneca, and usually you see those East teams handle the West teams, but South Seneca got the 51-41 win, and now Minders is actually off until they host Geneva on January 6th. Mid-Lakes didn't play this week. I think they dropped maybe from 5 to 6 this week. So there's the girls Super 6, and now we can bring up the you guys pay attention to these power rankings, the Finger Lakes One Sports Power Rankings?
Not much.
No, not really.
And you guys have been near the top each time of every poll this week, and we gave you all the results. So I'm just going to throw it up there. This week's updated power rankings: Minder stays at 1. North Rose Wolcott slides ahead of Palmac with their win against ER. Palmac from 2 to 3, despite beating Waterloo. It's more of an indication of the people wanted to see, I think, North Rose did against ER, and that was a pretty convincing win. Newark at 4. Naples slides up 1 from 5 to 5, and Dundee slides down 1 after that loss. ER drops a spot to 7. Clyde up 2 spots from 10 to 8. Mid-Lakes falls 2 spots from 7 to 9, and then Penn Yan slides back in at number 10. And then that's the top 10, and it's tough. There's a lot of teams just on the outside of that top 10. Like Bloomfield was a team that got some votes this week, and I'm drawing a blank here. Bloomfield got a few votes. Wayne got a few votes, even though they lost at Minders. And who else got some votes this week in Wayne County? Clyde, I don't know. That might be at Bloomfield and Wayne. So yeah. I don't know how you guys feel about seeing, Minders, a team you beat, up there at number 1, while you guys are at number 3, and you guys league record the exact same. I I think they got a little better overall record, but they didn't play as tough teams that you guys played. The biggest win was a nice win at home against Early College on a buzzer beater. But, does that motivate you at all? Do you just not care? It's just kind of talk. It doesn't mean anything, and it doesn't mean anything. It really, it's not. You're not going to get extra sectional points for being number one in our rankings. But what do you think?
No, I think it's motivation to show people that we should be number one in almost anything.
Yeah.
Well, you beat Minders. That's
Yeah.
the thing, and that was a tough part. The only problem was that you beat Minders in the same week you lost to Newark,
Yeah.
and they beat Newark in the same week they lost to you. So a lot of it's the eye test. And one thing that I kind of look at with these teams, and a lot of the guys that vote, some of them place a lot of credence on what they would call the eye test. And so I think the general consensus is with Minders is that. They're the most well-rounded. It's tough to find a weakness. I personally think their weakness is inconsistent play. I don't necessarily I don't know what team's going to show up every given night. But they do have Jake Mean, Ben Cafola inside, and then two more guys, over 6'5", coming off the bench, and Kyle Ruddy and Bachman. And they have a junior point guard who started since he was a freshman. And they got great guard play from Jake Jones and a couple sophomores, Liam Kerr and Devin Anderson, and they're pretty well rounded. But you guys beat them. The only team to beat Minders this year. So, and you'll have another shot at them in Seneca Falls at the Arthur L. Baker. Coach, I would put these back up here again real quick. Any thoughts or things you agree or disagree with these standings?
No, to be honest with you, I think like you said, it's hard to believe with Newark beating us beating Minders that North Rose didn't jump to number one, being undefeated in their league. I might argue that again based on the eye test, they're undefeated. But I guess if you look at who they're playing, ER's no slouch for sure. But maybe some of their other teams in the Wayne County League aren't as strong as some of our teams that have to go battle night after night. But other than that. Like you said, Jim, the standings, I think it's important for the kids to know that people are talking about them, but I don't want them to buy into the fact that people are talking about them. So it can be a double-edged sword sometimes. I like the fact that my guys look at it as motivation to prove themselves. If that gets us a couple energy points or a 50-50 ball on any given night, then it's worth its weight. But other than that, at the end of the season, we'll see where we are.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, you mentioned North Rose, that we've been talking about the past couple of weeks is because Minders and North Rose are in the same sectional classification as well, so there is a chance that they may play. And so the big question is, well, who would you pick if they were to play? And a lot of guys are picking Minders. I pick North Rose, and the reason why is I've seen North Rose play 4 games this year so far. And every one they've come out to play, and every one they've done the same thing. Offensively and defensively, they put forth the same effort, and it's very consistent. I've seen Minders play 5 or 6 times this year, and I've seen a lot of different things. I've seen them go a whole quarter without scoring, which is something that I've never seen happen with North Rose. So I think if Minders came out and played their best game, that they would beat North Rose, but I can't guarantee that would happen. So I'd probably be in the minority picking the Cougars in that one. But whether or not we actually get to see it, who knows? Because there's Wellsville's a very good team in that class, and I think RCMCS is in there too. Yeah. So hopefully we'd be fortunate enough to see a sectional matchup there, and also with you guys in B1. Against, either a Newark or a Penn Yan, looking forward to those matchups. So, it is tough. Got a few more minutes here. It is tougher being the higher up the classification. That's why I felt bad for Brian Miller and Geneva. And that sectional title they won 3 years ago with Shane Sweeney at point, and Junior Sims, and Terrell Johnson. It's real special because it's so hard to win when you get up the higher you get.
Very much so, yeah.
And is it frustrating for you guys to have it so difficult? Because you want to reward guys like Dominic and Davon, the seniors. You want to have that memorable run that season, but it is difficult.
It is, and I don't know if it's frustrating, but you know that you got to put your best foot out there, a best team out there, and the guys have to step up on any given night, and you can't show up flat, and so if you want to believe that you're good, then as we said with our schedule this year, you got to test yourselves against the better teams. And bigger schools don't necessarily mean they're better, but we picked the teams that we knew would be strong.
Yeah.
With Wilson and like I said before, with School of the Arts and College Prep and these other schools, and we knew that they'd be strong coming back this year. So, we'll see how it plays out, and a lot has to happen between now and then. We have to stay healthy. That anything can happen with kids. That's probably the more frustrating part is the fact that they're kids, and anything can happen. You're one sprained ankle away from being the top of the pack to the bottom of the pack or the middle of the pack. So we're just trying to keep them healthy.
And Newark's another example of that. They were up in A2 or whatever it was for several years with very good teams, but just not quite. They lost to. I want to say Wilson, but it wasn't Wilson. They lost to a city school. The same school, Batavia beat them a couple of years ago when they had a really good team. And
I remember that. I think School of the Arts beat them last year, didn't they?
Yeah, you're right. It was
School of the Arts that beat them last year. And again, I thought on paper I had Newark winning that game. We had scrimmaged School of the Arts at our place before sectionals, and I, knowing that we had seen Newark and Collins was back healthy with Logans and Rodriguez, and even with Clements being a freshman, they had 6-7 in the middle, and I had them winning that game, but School of the Arts ended up beating them. So,
yeah, well, it won't be long now. It's almost January. Now you coach the golf team too, right? You still coach the golf team, and you guys play Crooked Pines.
We play at Crooked Pines. Yep, play out at Crooked Pines, formerly Marvin's.
Any of your basketball players play golf for you as well?
No, not
a single one.
No, not a single one. I used to have one, but he didn't come out for basketball this year. So I think he's kind of saw some of the guys were in front of him that were going to be tough to beat out, and a kid's got to make a decision whether they're going to be a good teammate and sit and not play, or go to do something else. And I think he chose to do something else. Well, boy, a lot of the names we hear, Fleischman and Deming, they're all good. LaPaglia from Woodlakes, they're all great golfers.
I was lucky to play with Ben Deming this summer, and I also played with a guy from Lions named Josh Chassain this summer, who was the senior last year. Yeah. I love getting the kids out on the course playing some golf with them when I get a chance. But there is a lot of good basketball players who are golfers.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on the golf side, real quick, you guys play fall golf.
Fall golf. Love it.
You like it better than when it was the spring. Yeah, I can see that. I played on the golf team when I was in school, and we were spring golf. I playing for Minders, and muddy, cold, wet. Yeah. Course conditions are terrible, and generally in the fall, especially this fall.
Holy smokes.
Fantastic.
I think I've been coaching golf now for 14 years between Wayne and Palmac, and I think I've had one match that had to be canceled due to rain. I don't think we've ever canceled a match or pushed something off because of weather.
In the spring, there's at least 3 or 4.
Well, I can't imagine trying to practice. How do you get out and practice? Yeah. And you're hitting off mats in a gym into a net. You can't simulate it.
Our golf coach used to. Our first practice would be go to his. Our social studies teacher. We go to his room and watch Jack Nicklaus golf my way.
Yeah.
And freshman, sophomore year, it's junior year. Yeah, I know. I know this video. But yeah, an interesting fact, trivia fact. Never lost a high school golf match. Minders.
Really?
We were called the Big Blue Golfing Machine. From 86 to 90.
Wow.
Never lost. No team sectionals back then, though.
Yeah, no.
Or we probably would have lost.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're that good.
Yeah, the league was pretty down. We used to beat teams like Romulus, Romulus had one really good kid. He was a New York State Junior Am champion when he was 16 years old, but he was the only guy that would break 60. So we just had people that shot between 40 and 45, and we just killed everybody. So.
Yeah. That's the key. Yeah. That steady bogey golf. 45 is not a bad score for a high school kid on any course.
Not. And but this is a basketball podcast, so. Hey guys,
got to put the ball in the cup either way.
That's
basketball
right.
Or golf.
Similar games. Just need a little more stamina and athletic ability for basketball.
Yeah, just a little more.
So, fellas, thanks for coming in. You guys had a great Christmas.
Yeah,
yes,
that was nice.
Got any big plans for New Year's? Anything special going on around Palmyra for?
Not really.
For the new year?
No.
And one thing I wanted to ask you about before we get out of here that I forgot to is just talk about some of the other players on your team. I want to hear what you guys think about Damian and Hawkins and Hunter and Holden Dorr and all these guys. Just talk a little bit about your team.
Holden's always been coming in clutch for us any time that we need him. He always seems like, even if he's having an off night, when we need him, he'll
bury a three.
Yeah, he'll put down the three. I think Hunter next year, he's going to be somebody that you're going to have to really watch out for.
Yeah, he's improved. He played last year as a sophomore, and I saw him do a couple nice things, I think, in Waterloo. And this year he's definitely stepped up, played better.
A big player that doesn't really get mentioned a lot is Jaden. He may not stuff
Colf?
May not stuff the stats and scoring, but he does things that go unnoticed, like dives for the balls, plays defense, helps out rebounding and everything.
Yeah, every team needs somebody like that. End of the game, coach. Is it Damian Wright with the ball in his hands, or do you think more of just run the offense and see who it comes to, or is he your go-to guy maybe?
I think I like him having the ball against a defender, and then let's have the decision making not necessarily up to him, but up to what we want. And again, game to game it is different depending on who's hitting, can he take his guy off the dribble? Do we want to circle it around to Brandon because he can take his guy off the dribble? He's so strong going to the basket. Do we want to give it to Davon on the baseline for a 15-foot jumper because he's been knocking those down with incredible consistency lately? Do we want to stuff it inside to Dominic? Again, it's a good problem to have. We're deep enough that we have guys to choose from. But I think what Davon said, with Holden, he just has a knack for making plays, and it's not always on the offensive end. Yeah. He comes up with a steal, he come up with a loose ball, like Jaden Colf as well, come up with a loose ball. So I guess at the end of the game, we want our best ball handler, which is Damian, to bring the ball up and try and beat his guy because he is the most capable. But from there, he's got to make a decision, and we put that decision making into his hands, and it's worked out. It's worked out to this point. So.
Yeah, and it's nice to have options in that situation. And then Hawkins is Brandon, right?
Brandon Hawkins, yeah.
I, for some reason, was stumbling on the name, but he might be the best athlete on the team. He played a great football player.
Great football player, great athlete, like you said. He's been, I think he was first team All-League in the football this year. He was first or second team All-League last year in lacrosse, and he hadn't played for a year or two. He's been our most consistent player, and like you said, I don't know if you'd call him our glue guy. I think probably a guy like Jaden or Dom would be a glue guy for us because they do a lot of little things that don't get necessarily talked about in the paper, but Brandon's definitely been our most consistent and probably our best player up to this point, although Hunter Vandeveld has been pushing them incredibly. Yeah. I think he's had 3 or 4 double-doubles on the year. Yeah. And we've been winning.
These 3 guys that we just talked about are all juniors.
And they're all juniors, yeah. So. We're going to miss our seniors.
Sure.
Every team does, but I think this year more than any in the past probably 2 or 3 that I've had. The team that last time went to the sectional finals, we missed those guys the following year, and I thought we'd be as good, and we weren't even close. I think this team next year, not that I'm looking past this year, but I think this team next year is going to realize how important these seniors are to the team dynamic and to getting us to play every single day. These guys are great in the locker room. They're great leaders in practice. They're great leaders with their work ethic in practice, but also verbally and communication-wise in practice. And we're going to miss that leadership for sure. I'm hoping these guys are learning.
I've heard, that you're the guy that's like the general of the defense when you're in there. You're doing the most talking. Is that something you conscious? Is it just come natural to you, or is you like, somebody's got to do it. I'm going to be me. What do you think?
I've always did it. I don't understand why. I just felt like it's easier for me to be down low to see every aspect on the court easier than most players.
One last question for you. This year you decided to go with a man bun.
Yes.
What the heck? What prompted that decision?
I honestly don't know. I was getting tired of having the same old haircut as everybody else. So I just decided to go with something different this year.
No, I like it. It's a unique look. It's a unique look for sure. So, thanks a lot, you guys, for coming in, taking the drive down from Palmyra, and good luck the rest of the way. We got you a couple more times on a webcast, and we hope to see you in the postseason as well. So good luck.
Thank you.
And Coach, appreciate everything. You're always available when we want to talk hoops or I need some insight. I can give you a call. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And thanks for coming down. And
I love talking about it. I appreciate you having us. It's been a good opportunity for the boys and for me.
All right. Well, we'll be keeping an eye on Palmac for the rest of the way here. We got some upcoming webcasts this week. Tuesday we'll be in Seneca Falls for Clyde versus Minders in a big Holiday Hoops crossover. And then it won't be long after that, just 4 days, we'll be back in Waterloo for Sodus versus Waterloo. And then we head down to the Jack Guinan on Wednesday, January 6th for Naples against South Seneca. That'll be our first look at Naples this year. And love the Jack Guinan, best concessions in the Wayne Finger Lakes. I don't know if you've ever been down there. But
no, I haven't. I know Waterloo's isn't bad, but I've never been down to the...
Yeah, Waterloo's pretty good, but South Seneca is really good. They have a really big open space, and they have the game on a big screen out there. So awesome. You go to get a piece of pizza during the game. You're not missing a beat.
Almost like being at the Dome.
Yeah, pretty similar. Yeah, it's close. South Seneca, Syracuse. So thanks, everybody, for joining us here for this special holiday week edition of the Upstate Hoops podcast on Finger Lakes One TV. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher.com. We'll be back here next Sunday. Check out the front page of FingerLakes1.com for our live webcast start time. Probably 10 o'clock, I'd imagine. We'll be back at next Sunday. So until then, for Coach Dan Harris, Davon McClain, and Dominic Sutberry, I'm Jim Sinacropi. Happy holidays, and we'll see you 2016.